Hey, what's up, fight fans? It's Will back once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 113 from my home country, beautiful Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland. As Gunnar Nelson faces off against Santiago Ponzinibbio in our main event there. Overall, it's a kind of rudimentary European card. I think there is some really good matchmaking throughout the card. I love the co-main event. I love Stevie versus Felder. I think Khalil versus Craig's a good stylistic matchup with the striker versus the grappler. Danny Roberts being back, big fan. Pantoja, I think, is a really good talent at flyweight, and some debut fighters I'm looking forward to speaking about. I just want to apologise to you guys because I really tried to get this video out on Sunday, but I was literally exhausted from the two fight nights and with my little girl needing her dad for things. And then yesterday I tried 2 times to put on, but for some reason it just wouldn't upload. So apologies for having it out a little bit later than I usually would have, because I would have got it out on Sunday for you guys. And hopefully you can appreciate that I'm a little bit busy at the minute with the newborn daughter. So apologies for that. Thank you all again for your support. Coming off a fairly decent weekend there. Wish I stuck with my Gaethje kind of gut instinct to start off with. What a fight that guy put on. And 213, great to see Robert Whittaker become the champion. I think he's 26 years old. He's the future of that division. And he's just going to be a solid fighter to watch for many years to come. And really looking forward to him v Bisping. I think that could be a good matchup. Overall, I say the card I think is pretty decent. It's on Sunday. I will be in Glasgow. I'm going to be down there from Thursday. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm hoping to do a couple of interviews with some coaches, with a couple of fighters, with my good friend John from MMA, from John and Mike's MMA Corner. So if I can get those, the people we're looking at getting is Kevin Lee, Duke Rufus for interviews. I'll try and put this on my channel so you guys can get to see that, or hear that, I should say. But we're going to get into this card, and I'll be honest with you, I've struggled with some of the picks of my homegrown fighters here. I've tried to look at it without my heart, because I want every one of the Scottish fighters on here to win. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not going to bullshit about it. But I have looked into the fights. I think they are all close fights. So yeah, hopefully you guys don't go on me if I do pick a majority of the Scots here, but we have to wait and see. I have got my picks down. You just have to wait and see. You've got the timestamps here if you want to see what certain fighters I pick as well on the side. So we're going to start off in the women's bantamweight division. Leslie Smith against Amanda Lemos. Lemos is coming in here, 6-0-1 record I think is, coming out of Brazil. Knew of this girl from Jungle Fights. I randomly just go into YouTube and I'll go to Jungle Fights, and there was Amanda Rebus who was supposed to fight last week who got popped by USADA. This was another girl that I seen. There was another one as well there. I can't remember her name. Began with a P though. Yeah, I can't remember. But she's getting her opportunity here after Lena Landsberg pulled out. Leslie Smith is coming off a really, really fine win over Irene Aldana, where she just got at Aldana really, really quick and put her stamp down in that fight, and really just used that kind of veteran savviness that she's got in her, more output, and just really put on a good performance in that one. I picked Aldana, and it was a little bit... I do like Aldana, I do like Grasso. I do think there is a lot of potential with them both, but it was maybe too early in the run for the UFC. But we'll wait and see. They could come through. They're probably both going to be fighting at UFC Mexico in mid-August there. So the way I see this matchup going, I think Lemos has a chance, in all honesty. I think she can hit hard. As the fights go into the later rounds, her power kind of stays. Not that she's got big power, but she's got enough for that division with knees, and she's pretty decent in the clinch. I just think that Leslie Smith is going to really ride on the wave of her last win, a lot of output, and just kind of put it on Amanda Lemos. She's coming in here on short notice. I like her to win via decision, so Leslie Smith for the win there. Really interesting fight here. Brett Jones against Albert Morales. Brett Jones is the guy that people just don't know about, but he's a really, really solid, talented fighter coming out of Wales. Got a lot of time. I watch his fights, and if you guys don't know about him, there's fights. He's obviously got his UFC fight. He's got his Titan fights. He fought over there in America and he defended his title, won the title over there. He's got his Cage Warriors fights over here in Europe. So he's a guy you should really check out, because I think at the bantamweight division, this guy could beat some of those high ranked guys, I really do think in the top 15, he's definitely a ranked future fighter in my opinion. I think he's got all the skills to do that. I thought his debut against Kwan Ho Kwak was very, very impressive. Coming in there, they both came in short notice, and he looked really good. He just mixed it all up, and he got those takedowns, and really, he just looked very, very good in his debut. I liked that he kind of mixed up a little bit, but when he seen that Kwak was wilting a little bit, he went for the takedowns and he took him down all the time. He did trade a little bit, but he did the smart thing, took the fight to the ground, and that's how I see this fight going here with Albert Morales. I'll be honest with you, I think Morales has a chance. I really do. I think that he's a gamer. He comes forward for the full 3 rounds. He does fade a little bit, and he is coming in here on short notice yet again. But he looked very good in his win over Andre Sukumtar in his last victory. He got off to a very fast start, was popping off his jab really well, and just using kind of every facet of the game, try to keep on his feet. It was just a really good fight. I enjoyed that Sukumtar fight, and I do think that Morales is live here, I really do. But I think the overall game, if Brett Johns is coming in here 100% on his game and he's injury free, because he's had trouble with injuries, the guy I think is he's a top 15 guy in my opinion, without a shadow of a doubt. And I see in this fight kind of being, he can't get into a firefight with Albert Morales, because Morales throws crazy shit, spinning shit. He's just a really tough fighter to put away, and I think the way that he wins his fight is through his wrestling and through his grappling, and I think that's what he does here. He puts Morales against the cage, works for takedowns, works for single legs, gets him down there, and just dominates through control and maybe some ground and pound through in there. But I could possibly see Morales win the round and making this close going late into the fight. But I'm going to pick Brett Johns. I'm going to pick him via 29-28 decision. A fight I'm really looking forward to. I really don't think it should be on Fight Pass. I think there's a couple of fights ahead of him that really shouldn't be ahead of him, put it that way. I think this fight's a good fight. But Johns is going to be the pick there. Moving on to the lightweight division, we've got 2 debuting fighters. We've got Danny Henry against Daniel Teymur. I'll start off with Danny Henry. He's a guy that literally doesn't live that far away from me in Edinburgh. I'm in Musselburgh, so we're literally an extended part of Edinburgh, and he's getting his opportunity here. A lot of people, even on the European circuit, will not know who Danny Henry is, because he's fought literally predominantly all of his fights over in Africa for the EFC, where he went over there, he won the belt, he lost it, and then he went on a streak where he won his belt back very, very impressively as well. He's a guy that I've been hoping would get his opportunity in this card, but I mean, overall, what I see from Danny is he's just an overall good fighter. He's got skills on the ground, he's got skills on the feet as well. He's got a beautiful body kick. He's got a good kicking game that he can use, and he follows that up with nice combinations as well. But we've seen him on the ground with his submissions, with his wins over Cabeza to win that title. He showed a really, really nice submission game there, and his win with Wade Groth, he hit him with a body kick followed by a big right straight down the pipe and hurt him in the second round there. Really, really happy for Danny to get the opportunity to fight in the UFC here, because I do think he deserves it. And but I really do think he has a tough. I mean, this is a really tough debut against Daniel Teymur. Now, this is not David Teymur. I've seen a lot of people say, why is he fighting David Teymur? He's not fighting David Teymur. He's fighting Daniel Teymur. Both these guys are featherweights, but they're fighting at lightweight. David Teymur has a twin brother called Daniel. So a lot of people have been asking me about this. Why is David fighting a guy that's coming into the UFC? This is David's brother coming in here. So Daniel Teymur is a guy I've had my eye on for about 3 years at least. Nasty kicking game. Very deadly submissions. When I look at it, I think he's just a little bit better than Danny in those aspects. Not by much, I will be honest with you. Just a tough fight for both guys, for debuting fighters. I mean, Danny's going to be perked up fighting in the Hydro at home. I do think Daniel Teymur is a really solid featherweight contender. His fights are on YouTube. There's a fight where he actually got knocked down. The ref stopped the fight, and he actually pleaded with the ref to restart the fight. He restarted the fight, and then he went on to submit the guy. So it was a little bit of a weird one. But if I'm being honest here, I think that Daniel Teymur is just, I don't know, I do like him. I like Danny a lot as well. I've got a lot of time for Danny, and I've been a big supporter of his, but I just think that Daniel Teymur is going to win this one. I think it's going to be close. I think if it goes to the ground, he could possibly catch him in a submission, but I'm hoping the Scots can really get behind Danny, push him on to that gear that he's maybe never had before, and go and get this win here. But unfortunately, my pick has to be Daniel Teymur. Danny, 100% want you to win, man. If you see me down in Glasgow after you beat this dude, you can come up there and beat the shit out of me. It's absolutely fine. I'm always going to support you win or lose, because I think you're one of the top prospects coming out of our country. But I am going to pick Daniel Teymur. I'm going to pick him via a very close 29-28 decision. I just see Teymur getting off a little bit more, and using the all-around game a little bit more. But I'm cheering for you, Danny. I think that Daniel, I'm picking Daniel on this occasion. I'm not going to spend that much time in this fight, because I think it's an absolute joke of a fight. It's Charlie Ward against Galore. Bufando, literally, we've not seen this guy in about 3.5 years. He fought like Kez Mamba, who's known as a jobber over here in the UK, a guy who is brought in to lose pretty much. What he does have like a really extravagant kind of kicking game. He has been DQ'd a couple of times for illegal knees, so he's a little bit crazy. But Charlie Ward, I don't think should be in the UFC. He's in here because he's Conor's boy. This is the fight that I heard that Conor picked the opponent for Charlie Ward. The first inkling I got this matchup was through Conor McGregor and his Instagram stuff, and I heard that. So Charlie Ward got blasted against Rizak Al Hassan. I think even in his fights with John Phillips in the past, he gets blasted. I think Bafando can get in there and blast with Charlie Ward. This could be fun while it lasts, but I can't pick Charlie Ward. See, I'm picking a guy that's been away for 3.5 years. Fucking hell. I'm picking a guy that's been away for 3.5 years here, and I'm going against myself here, but Charlie Ward did not impress me. He was like, I saw this guy in Belfast, and he was walking around. Now, Belfast was pissing with rain, fight week, and he was walking around outside with shades on, and it's just preppy. It just didn't sit well with me. Thought he did fight a tough guy, and had a hard kind of going there, but I like Bufando. I'm going to take him via knockout. I think this could be a slugfest in the first round, and Bufando could come out the winner, so Bufando for the win there. Great fight. Alexandre Pantoja against Neil Seery. Neil Seery's last fight here. I'm glad. Let's hope we get to fight night and this fight's actually still intact, because Seery has had some bad shit go his way with stuff in his family side and opponents pulling out and so on and so on. But it's a tough fight to go out in, because I think Pantoja is a really solid guy for the 125 pound weight division. I thought he was solid on the Tough Show. I thought he had a great performance against Eric Shelton, who I thought both those guys are guys I've got my eye on in that division. There's a lot of fighters coming through that division that are so good. There's fighters not even in the UFC yet, like Rani Sada, who are coming through from here in Europe, and there's other ones in America. It's going to be a really great division if it sticks around in the UFC. Who knows? Neil Seery, working man's fighter. Literally fights on a Saturday, goes back out to work on a Monday, supports his family. You can't shit on guys like that. He comes in and he fights every time. I think he's actually been really good in his UFC career. I think it's definitely been the best we've seen in Neil Seery throughout his career. He's raised the level of his game time and time again. He's fought tough guys, beat tough guys, he's lost to tough guys, and he's just an all-action fighter here. And I really hope he comes out and tries to really just put on a performance here, which he always does ever since he came into the UFC against Brad Pickett. He came out there and he just wanted to excite the fans, and he did that. I've been to a load of Neil Seery fights live, and he's just a really fun guy to be around, fun guy to watch fight. I really wish him all the best in retirement. Pantoja, deadly submission game, all around a good game, but his submissions are definitely where his bread and butter is. Once he gets you to the ground, he's very hard to get off you. He controls you really well, and not overly a kind of most athletic fighter, but he's really very well rounded, and he's very tough to beat, and he's got a lot of confidence. He was a champion in the RFA. I like Pantoja to win this one. I think it could be a little bit back and forth, but I can see him using takedowns and control on the ground to win this one. Again, hope Neil Seery wins. I'm hoping the majority of these fighters I'm picking here for the UK, Ireland are going to win, but I think Pantoja is a really tough fight to go out on in your debut. I thought the fight with McCall was definitely the fight to go out on, but that fight just, it seems vexed from the get-go. So Pantoja via decision. Welterweight bout, Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts against Bobby Nash. Oof, really struggle with this one. You guys will know I'm a big fan of Danny Roberts, and he is coming off a really brutal knockout against Mike Perry, where he took a lot of damaging shots in that one, but he gave out a lot of himself, but just that Perry's chin was a little bit better that night. Slick boxer, has wrestling skills, and is willing to get in there and really throw down. We've seen he had a great fight against Dominic Steele, where I didn't think he looked his best there, but he gave us an exciting fight nonetheless. And then the Mike Perry fight, I think I probably underestimated Mike Perry a little bit. I'll put my hands out there, because I think in the Hyun-Gyu Lim fight I totally wrote him off. And that's something I should never do as a guy who watches a lot of fights, because anybody has a chance. And he came in there and he blasted the shit out of Hyun-Gyu Lim. And then he did the same against Danny Roberts. He was on Danny Roberts from the get-go in that fight, and Danny just really couldn't put anything together the whole fight and get into his rhythm. If he gets into his rhythm, Danny Roberts is a tough guy to face. But Bobby Nash is a really tough guy, and yeah, close fight. I think this is a fight that's really under the radar on this card that could be very, very exciting, and looking forward to seeing it. I was really impressed with Bobby Nash's debut at against Hyun-Gyu Lim back in Denver, I think it was this year. And the guy's got nasty power. He's well built for that welterweight division as well. Once he plants his feet and he throws with kind of bad intentions, and if he catches you, he can wobble you really quite bad, and he can mix it in with his wrestling as well. I'm just going to go with Danny Roberts. I think he can be a little bit slick, hopefully. I know he's been out at the Combat Club in Florida and putting the work in there. It's interesting to see like people coming out at that Combat Club. Rumble Johnson quit. I thought Michael Johnson showed signs of it. He tried really hard, but Gaethje kind of ate him up with his output and his pace. Really close fight. I'm like 51-49 on Danny Roberts here. I think that Bobby Nash is just a tough guy. He's a really tough guy to be facing, and he needs to win this one. He lost his first UFC fight. He could do with this. I know the UFC are going back to Michigan this year. He's from Michigan. He will want to be on that card, so he'll be looking for a win here. Very, very, very slight decision. I'm going for another one here. Slight decision for Danny Roberts via 29-20. Oh, geez, I'm really struggling with that pick. I'm going to go with my initial gut feeling, which when I first had that fight and when I first watched the tape on some of the fights of these guys, was Danny Roberts. I think he's just going to be a little bit too slick, put it all together, but I can see Bobby Nash making it very, very tough there. So Roberts for the win, but not particularly confident in that pick, I'll be honest with you. James Mulheron against Justin Willis is the first fight on the main card here. Two newcomers to the UFC. Justin Willis was supposed to fight back in this year, I think in Brooklyn against Marcin Tybura, and pulled out. Big guy. I think he had to cut like 40 pounds in a week. Couldn't do it, and pulled out, and he's getting his opportunity here. James Mulheron's coming in here for Mark Godbeer, who pulled out, and James Mulheron is probably the best heavyweight we have over here in the UK. But he's not great. I think he's okay. I shouldn't really say that. That's kind of not kind of good for me to say. I mean, his only loss was against Ruben Wolf, and his last he went back and eventually beat him via decision. He's predominantly been most of his fights decision, so he's a hard guy to put away late in there, and he sticks around. He beat Neil Grove in Bellator, Geraint Hill a couple of times. I actually really like Justin Willis in this one. I think he can potentially push him against the cage, use that wrestling and laying him. He's going to be the bigger guy here. James Mulheron usually kind of walks around or weighs in around about 240, 245. Well, Justin Willis is a big guy. He cuts down to 265. So I think that this could be a little bit of a slop fest, and I can see Justin Willis winning it via TKO, even though that Mulheron's never been finished. I think he can get ground and pound off and potentially TKO him here. So I'm going to go Justin Willis, second round TKO victory there. Light heavyweight division with Khalil Rountree against the Bear Jew Paul Craig. as I said at the start of this, a really good fight to put together. Different styles. I think Khalil Rountree looked very, very, very good in his last fight, and looked very focused, which was nice to see. But he was against someone in Daniel Jolly who I think anybody in that light heavyweight division could beat. He did stop the takedown originally in that one, and then, which was nice to see because he hasn't done that in the past before. He didn't do it in Tough. He didn't do that beforehand before he went on the show. So that's something that you can see that he's working on there at Syndicate. And he's been training his submission game with Eric Spicely for this one as well. And he has got devastating power. If this fight stays in the feet, there is absolutely no doubt about it that Paul Craig is going to go to sleep. No doubt about it. I think he's got striking as Paul Craig, but I don't think it's nowhere near the level of Khalil Rountree. Paul Craig's style is submission. If he gets, it's just where this matchup's going to take place. If this takes place in the feet, Khalil Rountree is going to win all day long. If this goes to the ground, Paul Craig is going to win this fight. But I think that in both styles is that Paul Craig can last longer than what Khalil Rountree can in Paul Craig's territory, if you know what I mean. So Craig can maybe strike a little bit longer than what Rountree can survive on the ground, and that's the way I kind of see it. Paul Craig has been training full time for this one. He's been out at the All Stars gym in Sweden with Alexander Gustafsson, training out there with him. So interesting to see if he tries to mix. Well, he can't really mix up in the feet. Like I've said, that it's a clear striker v grappler here. He needs to really run and try and use his strikes to get in close to maybe getting a clinch with Khalil Rountree, put him against the fence and look for submissions off there like he has done in the past. And he can drop to his back, and if he drops to his back here, Khalil might be silly enough to really stay in the guard and potentially get caught, but Khalil might have some big ground and pound which could hurt Paul Craig. I can't pick Khalil Rountree. This is one of these home picks here, and I can't help it. But I just think that Paul Craig at home, coming off that loss to Tyson Pedro, I think he was maybe believing his own hype a little bit in that last fight with Tyson Pedro. And Pedro, I think, to be fair, I don't think I really seen the ceiling for that guy, but I see it now. I think you can see a ceiling where he's going to get a lot better with matchups coming up soon. I'm going to pick Paul Craig. I think eventually this fight's going to find a way to the ground, and I can see him submitting him from there. But I'm not confident in that pick whatsoever. And I'll be honest with you, it's probably a little more of a patriotic pick. And I've tried not to do it, but I can't help it, guys. Honestly, I'm a normal fan who wants my local fighters to win. But I think that, as I say, Paul Craig can last longer in Khalil Rountree's expertise than Khalil Rountree can in Paul Craig's style of fighting. So I'm going to go Paul Craig. I'm going to go an early, a kind of late round 1 submission there, if not early round number 2 for the Bear Jew. Middleweight division, Jack Marshman against Ryan James. Like Jack Marshman a lot in this one. I think that Ryan James suffers from really bad head movement. He doesn't move his head's there to be struck, and Jack Marshman cracks. We've seen that against Thiago Santos. We've seen that against Magnus Cedenblad. Like the fact that Marshman's he's actually been sparring with John Jones for this camp over there in Jackson Winklejohns. Really crisp boxer. Legit boxing skills, throws a really nice 1-2, can go at the body really nice as well, and can take a shot himself. He's really tough to put away. I mean, I thought that last fight with Thiago was maybe stopped a little bit premature. He got caught with a spinning back kick to the nut and got put down, and the ref did jump in there quick. I thought it was the beginning of the end though. Ryan James lost to Jared Mearshart via submission. I just don't think he can stop being... I think that Jack Marshman's going to literally jab the head off him, follow up with combinations and put this guy to sleep. I don't see this getting outside the first round. I think Marshman's going to come out really quick and put it on Ryan James, and I don't think James can hang with him on the feet whatsoever. So Jack Marshman, round 1, TKO victory there. Stevie Ray versus Paul Felder. What a great fight here. One thing I will say about this, I think that Stevie's been very active the last 6-7 months with really solid wins to have on your resume. I mean, Ross Pearson I thought he fought really well in that fight, came in there short notice and did the business there, and then went on and faced Joe Lozon not so long ago back in America, and after a really tough, brutal start, came through very, very quick in rounds 2 and 3. People that were talking shit like it probably should have been a draw in all honesty. I think I would have called it more a draw, but I thought that in the last 2 rounds he did do more, but I can see, personally I had it for a draw, but people were moaning that Joe Lozon won that fight. I don't believe he did in the slightest. I think you've seen who the guy was in the last 2 rounds who wanted it more, and it was most definitely Stevie Ray. And he's got himself a really quick turnaround here against Paul Felder. Now Stevie took some damage in that fight, nothing that's probably going to stop him, obviously it's probably not going to stop him from taking this fight, but a really quick turnaround, and that kind of throws me off a little bit, but he is fine at home, and I thought last time there was the majority of the crowd there was a lot of guys there for Stevie. He's got a lot of support over here in Scotland. I think he's probably the most, it's between him and Jojo, it's very, very close to being the most popular fighter here in the UK, without a doubt, or Scotland I should say, the UK. But he's got Paul Felder here, who I thought looked really good, and he's went over Alexandre Ricci. If the thing is with Paul Felder, he needs to get off. If he can get off his strikes and get that confidence, he's really, really hard to. It's a really hard fighter to face, and we've seen in the past he's beat some guys with really nice finishes, but sometimes he just doesn't put it all together, and he just doesn't pull the trigger sometimes. And I think that Stevie's got an all-around game. I think that's what Stevie needs to do here. I think he needs to try and mix it up on the feet. I think he needs to be precise with his leg kicks. Watch he doesn't get countered by Paul Felder, because Felder, to his advantage, he's a really good counter striker when he wants to be. Really big leg kicks, and he's just a heavy hitter. You have to be careful every second that he throws a punch. And this is the fight that both guys wanted, so it's going to be interesting. I think Stevie Ray has to really mix in the takedowns, and try and just mix up a little bit and try and throw Paul Felder off, because they've been saying, oh, this is going to be fight of the night, it's going to be a stand-up war. I don't see Stevie Ray wanting to do that. I think Stevie Ray's a lot smarter than that, and he'll want to mix it up and potentially look for takedowns that are going to, especially being in Scotland, going to win him rounds. Paul Felder, to his detriment, fighting over there Rufus Sport now, and that's one of my most favourite gyms in the whole of MMA. Got a lot of my favourite fighters in that gym, and he's got a great coach, and Duke Rufus is going to teach him a lot. I mean, Duke Rufus is one of the best striking coaches you could possibly have. I see this being close again, and I'm going to go with Stevie Ray via a decision. Can I see Paul Felder win? I can. I'll be honest with you. I can see Paul Felder. I see this being very close, and I can see it being a split. I can see the judges giving Felder rounds here as well. But I am going to go with a hometown, home country win here for Stevie Ray. And yeah, very, very close fight. 29-28 for Stevie Ray, but I think it will be a split. So yeah, co-main event of the night: Joanne Calderwood versus Cynthia Calvillo. Right, I'll be honest with this one. You guys know what I'm like. I'm a Joanne Calderwood fan. But I am a big, big believer in Cynthia Calvillo and what she can do going forward in the fight game. I think she is very young in the fight game, which is one of the red flags for me in this fight. But what she's shown us in her short UFC stint, she is game as fuck. She's got a legit ground game that if she gets you down there, she is going to finish you. She will work away to advantageous positions where she's going to put a beating on you. We have seen Joanne Calderwood. Joanne Calderwood beat in certain situations where she goes, like Rose caught her, Jessica Andrade. Now I thought she did fairly decently against Jessica Andrade. She did everything right, and she just wasn't maybe wasn't strong enough, or didn't know the positions too well and got caught. My kind of red flags for this fight is obviously Joanne Calderwood is not the greatest on the ground. She has been caught a few times. Even on the tough show she was caught. Cynthia Calvillo, I think she's too green as a pro. She's not even been a pro a year yet. And Joanne Calderwood's been in a lot of fights, kickboxing, Muay Thai. She's been in the UFC for a few years. She's had tough fights. In Glasgow, she had a tough win against Courtney Casey. She gets off the slow start sometimes, which she can't do. So Calvillo, what she's going to do here, she's going to literally, I think she's going to use her strikes, a throw flim flam to try and get a hold of Joanne Calderwood, put her against the cage, and look to take her down from there. I think that Calderwood can maybe catch her in that in the clinch, and get her from there. It's a really tough fight because if Calvillo gets her to the ground, she's so good down there. She's nasty. She's got a nasty, nasty ground game. And yeah, so I'm a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit because I have bet in Cynthia Calvillo in her first 2 fights, and she's won me cash, and she could be one of these money trains. But she's against the girl who I wholeheartedly support and have done for many years. But I can see path to victory for both girls here. I really do. I think that Cynthia's never fought a level of striker what Joanne can be. Hopefully Joanne after this moves up to 125. She doesn't need to be cutting down to this division, even though she's saying that she's going to stay at 115. She can't do that. 125 is there. You will be a contender in that division if you can put everything together. She's been finishing out her camp over here at Gunnar Nelson's gym, the Mulheron gym over there in Iceland. So nice to see she's a little bit closer to home towards fight time after spending the majority of her camp at TriStar over there in Canada. Oh, really tough fight to pick. I feel I'm going to get shit in this card no matter what, because I am picking home fighters, and I can't help myself. I am 100% behind my home fighters. I think that Cynthia Calvillo is a really good prospect, but she has to prove it to me in this fight. If she proves it to me, comes out there and submits Joanne Calderwood. Now I know Jojo's not the best on the ground, it's clear to see, but if she can come out there, at least be active on the feet and stay in it on the feet and get this fight to the ground and potentially win, then she proves to me that she can she's moving forward and she's doing everything she needs to do to become a really top fighter in that division. I am going to pick Joanne Calderwood, and I am going to pick her via I'm actually going to go with a 3rd round TKO. I think if she can get her shots off and stop Calvillo and discourage her from getting taken down and like not getting the takedowns or getting the fight to where she wants it to be, then I think that Jojo can frustrate her, and with the crowd behind her I think she can potentially get a finish. Most likely it goes to decision, and if the rounds are close you can see Joanne getting those rounds. But I'm going to go Joanne Calderwood via a 3rd round TKO with a kind of accumulation to strike. She might catch with a body shot, with a spinning back kick or something to the body, kind of like she did with Valerie Letourneau. Now I know Letourneau she's kind of on her way out the sport in that one, and it was at 125, but it was a kind of weird fight, that one anyway. I am going to go Jojo. So I've picked 3 Scots to 3-1 on this one here. I probably know I'm going to catch shit for this, but I can't help it. I think the fights are going to be close in 5th. I think 3 of the fights that I've mentioned, they are very, very close, and one might be a little bit better for one guy, but Joanne Calderwood via 3rd round TKO victory there. So yeah, I can't help myself, I'll be honest with you. I'm so patriotic with my home fighters that it's hard to pick against them. But Calvillo's I'm a big fan of Cynthia Calvillo. She's going to be great going forward, but she needs to prove it to me here in this fight. And the main event of the night, we have Gunnar Nelson against Santiago Ponzinibbio. Really looking forward to seeing Gunnar Nelson again. I just put out on Twitter that I'm a complete fanboy of Gunnar Nelson, and this is a weird matchup to me because he should be facing higher opposition than the number 15 guy in that division. Now I heard that Kamaru Usman was supposed to be the opponent for this one, and Kamaru didn't want nothing of Gunnar Nelson, and he pulled out, so Santiago got the opportunity to come in here and get himself a main event. Gunnar Nelson in his last few fights has looked exceptional since that loss to Damian Maia. Gunnar, in his fight with Albert Tumanov, came out. He's like, what he is just a calculated killer. He doesn't overdo himself. He picks his spots, very, very light on his feet with that karate style, and then blasts in and catches you with strikes. He can, if he catches you and like he gets his hands around you, you're going to go to the ground like he showed against Joban, showed against Tumanov. And once it hits the ground, the guy's he's mesmerising on the ground. He finds a way to the full mount with relative ease. He just literally grabs a hold of it, and he's literally just moving up your body, and he'll find a way to get those snake hips on into the full mount. And from there, if you give up your back with this guy, you are completely fucked. He showed that in the Tumanov fight, and he didn't even get that full in. He got it across the jaw, really tight squeeze there. Then in the fight with Joban, showed every kind of wrinkle of his game, was very patient, and then the strikes set up the submissions where he came in there with a big right hand shot, followed up with a high kick and then snapped down Joanne and got a beautiful guillotine choke there. He is one of my most favourite fighters in the world to watch, with just the way he fights and the way he goes around looking for opportunities to hurt you and get into positions where he's going to get you. I keep talking about every fight that once he gets you to the ground, he throws little strikes to move your hands in certain positions and then he catches you. That's just eliteness. That he's the second, in my opinion, he's the second best guy. Probably Damian Maia's the top guy. Let's not get it twisted. He showed that in the fight. Thought Gunny fought stupid in that fight a little bit, but Maia is the best guy. But Gunnar Nelson here, I just don't see Ponzinibbio doing much. What I do see from Ponzinibbio, the things he has to do to try and get at Gunnar Nelson a little bit. Gunnar Nelson does not check leg kicks, so that's something he has to use there. He has to establish a jab early on and really keep to that and be very, very precise with the game plan of doing that. And then once he's light in his feet, and sometimes Gunny jumps in and that kind of springing motion, he has to be really ready to counter strike and catch Gunnar in those positions there. Once it goes late, it's a little bit unsure because Gunnar's never been late into fights. Ponzinibbio seems to fade a little bit like he did in the Talib fight a little. But this is the fight for me to set up Gunny Nelson for he deserves a guy in the top 7-8 in this division. I really want to see him against someone like Jorge Masvidal. I think that would be a great fight. I think that Masvidal could bring the fight out of Gunny a little bit more. Just an interesting fight. It's a fight that could really get put together if he wins this one here. So I'm going to go Gunnar Nelson. I think the first couple of rounds it's going to be a little bit back and forth. Gunny looking for opportunities to kind of find a way to take it to the ground. In rounds 3 or 4 I can see him doing that, but in round 3 is where I see the finish taking place. So I'm going to go Gunnar Nelson via rear naked choke finish in round number 3. So that's my picks for UFC Glasgow, UFC Fight Night 113. And I know I'm going to catch some shit for this. I can't help it, guys. I'm so patriotic for my country. I love my country, and the fighters that we have there, to say that all in very, very, very tough, close fights. I'm just going to edge the Scots and majority of them there. So yeah, that's my picks here. Hopefully your picks are similar to mine. Let me know if your picks are any different down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I say I am going to be in Glasgow for the majority of the week, so I might not get back to you as soon as I can, but I will be in touch with you as soon as I get the opportunity. And I'll be back for next week for UFC on Fox. Is it Long Island? Yeah, Chris Weidman against Kelvin Gastelum. This is a fucking baller card, really good card. Love the main event there. Thomas Almeida against Jimmy Rivera, man, what a fight. Dennis Bermudez against Darren Elkins is a co-main event ahead of that, which is weird to me. But Elias Dos Santos is going to be on that card. Looking forward to seeing Alex Oliveira again. Shane Burgos, Godofredo Pepe. I mean, what? That's a great fight. So I'll be back for that. Come follow me on Twitter, WillMartinMMA. You can follow, come play me in DraftKings at Billboard85. But until then, I will see you all very, very soon. And thank you again for all the support. And if you're in Glasgow and if you see me, come say hi and we can grab a beer.